Colombo is the largest city and commercial capital of Sri Lanka, located on the southwest coast. Its name means harbor with leafy mango trees. Welcome to this visit to Colombo, Sri Lanka. The Portuguese seized the area around Colombo in the 1500s and expelled the local Muslim inhabitants. Today, the area where the Portuguese fort was located now houses the presidential palace and the main commercial buildings. The area outside of the fort was known as the trading area and is the principal trading market and commercial hub today. The Dutch seized control of Colombo in 1656 after a siege and massacred the Portuguese. They controlled Colombo under the Dutch East India Company until 1790. In 1802, the British gained control and made Colombo the capital of the Crown Colony of Ceylon. They were responsible for much of the planning of the present city, and in some parts the city tramcar tracks and granite paving survives today. The island of Ceylon received its independence peacefully from England in 1948. My father's always been a keen stamp collector and excited my interest in Ceylon from his large British colonial collection. Colombo today is a multi-ethnic and multicultural city with not only Moors, Sinhalese, and Tamils, but a mixture of British, Dutch, Portuguese, and even Malays and Indians. It's always presented the tourist's image of a tropical paradise. Who can resist not wanting to stay in some of these hotels advertised in vintage postcards of the 19th century? This early vintage postcard shows the York Street with the Grand Orient Hotel and the Pacific and Orient office. Another view of York Street with the GOH, or Grand Orient Hotel. The buildings show the colonial influence. A modern-day photograph of the Grand Orient Hotel. It's still there. Another colonial hotel in a vintage postcard, the Bristol Hotel, advertising the best cuisine in the East with a specialty of curries. Candy Pavilion. The city in its early days produced tea, cinnamon, and coconuts. It also had the most busy harbor in Asia and acted as the gateway for most of the supplies for the island of Ceylon. Let's take a look at some early vintage postcards showing the busy harbor. The Colombo breakwater during a high wind in the monsoon season. This postcard is labeled Rubber Trees. I guess rubber could be a produce. However, Ceylon has long been famous for its tea. Here's an ad dated 1837. A modern tea plantation. A vintage postcard of women picking tea, and even today the women pick the tea leaves. This 19th century postcard shows the weighing and bundling of tea leaves. Early transport around Colombo, rickshaws were popular. Strong bullocks pulling large wooden wheel carts were the major form of transportation. And they're even used today in this modern photograph. A coastal orientation and fishing was a popular economic activity for the local inhabitants. This is Main Street, showing the Cannes clock tower, and there's quite a few postcards of this clock tower. It was definitely a local landmark. A picture of the modern airport where I landed and was carried down 4 flights of stairs in a wheelchair from a Boeing 747. It was quite an experience at 4 o'clock in the morning. Colombo is a major stopping point for luxury cruise ships. Today, it retains its economic importance as a major harbor. Sri Lanka has a railway system which now is getting very run down and somewhat unsafe. A local train pulls in. In 2002, there was a terrible train crash at Poguewila with quite a few deaths. The cheap price of fares means that the train system is not well maintained. The major landmarks are the twin World Trade Center towers, which are the largest in Sri Lanka, and the round building, which is the Bank of Ceylon. The twin Trade Center towers were completed in 1995. The old colonial building is the old Parliament building. You get a wonderful view from the top of the twin trade towers. Let's take a look. The City Hall. This is the General Post Office on Queen Street, taken in a vintage postcard of 1915. And the Cannes clock tower is in the background. The entrance to the Peta markets is next to the Cannes clock tower, shown here on the map. There's many small traders, and you can buy anything you want. The streets are always packed and filled with people. The dynamic commercial hub for the local